Fence contractors, the landscape for digital marketing is changing pretty dramatically. And if you don't figure out how to set yourself up to succeed in the new normal, you're going to see your revenue drop in 2025 and beyond. The problem is HubSpot.com. They're one of the big godfather websites of SEO. They're known for their blog. They've created a huge, huge $1 billion business from their blog alone. And if they start seeing things drop, then it's a problem for us in the fence industry. My name is Alec Newmeyer. I'm one of the founders of Secure Line Marketing. Part of my job is to make sure that if there are changes in digital marketing that can affect fence contractors, that I let you know. So in this short video, I'm going to talk about what's changing and what you can do differently with your marketing strategy, or what you should be talking to your SEO agency, your digital marketers about, to make sure that you are being set up for what's changing, what's happening in the future, and you're not using stale strategies. So why do we care about HubSpot in the first place? HubSpot is a $1 billion company. They've made most of their money, a huge amount of their traffic from their blog. Their blog has been sort of a gold standard in the SEO world because they write so much content, and it generates sort of top of funnel. When I say it generates traffic of people who are looking for all these like sort of tertiary, like further out topics, and it leads them to a purchase of HubSpot, which is what we want in general, what we've wanted in SEO. And so the fact that in since let's see, August, they've dropped from 5 million monthly visitors, probably more, and they've dropped almost 70% of their traffic. It tells us that the core updates in Google are dramatically changing the way that the internet works. Things like ChatGPT and AI are changing user behaviors, so people aren't always going to Google in order to figure out, who the best fence contractor in their market is. They're going to other places. They're going to ChatGPT, they're going to Perplexity, they're going to alternate sources. And ChatGPT doesn't use Google, it uses Bing. So if you're not optimized for Bing, you might not appear in ChatGPT. Or people aren't typing anymore. They're talking into their phones, doing voice searches. So if your site isn't set up for voice searches, you could be missing out traffic there too. The land is changing a lot faster than it did the last two decades because of AI. So HubSpot is unfortunately a casualty of this, but it does say some things about what you should be thinking about as a local fence contractor. You should be have the wheels turning about, okay, well, are we still just generating blogs? Like, how do I get my traffic? Like, where are my jobs coming from? Everyone's going to have some brand recognition, especially if you've done the basics, like get your truck wrapped, and you've been around in the area for a while. But this is a big dramatic change. The reason why is because a lot of marketing agencies that many of you may have hired are still creating blogs in order to create top of funnel traffic. They'll write blogs about more general blogs about the fencing industry, about different fence types and DIY advice. They may be posting about how to find a good contractor, how to know if you're getting screwed. That has been the pervading wisdom on how to generate traffic, is become the content king for your market. Here are my quick recommendations on some things that you should do to protect your business from these changes in the algorithm. So, like I said, the HubSpot collapse is a big deal. Search Engine Land is a giant newsletter where they talk specifically about what's happening in the world of SEO, and they are talking about the collapse and what actually went wrong. It's a huge deal. There's people tweeting about it, there's people talking about it. There's a lot of theories about what is going on. Why are they losing this traffic? What's impacting them? For the purposes of all of us in the fencing industry, a lot of this isn't really a lot for the purpose of us in the fencing industry, we don't need to know all this stuff. We need to know specifically, how do I win my local market? How do I protect myself from, other entrants taking up some of the search volume from Google? So one of the things I would say, and one of the things that HubSpot seems to have done wrong, is they focus so much on width, covering every variation of what someone could ask about anything having to do with HubSpot, that some of their content lacked depth. It lacked depth and relevancy. I don't necessarily mean that they need to take, a 500 word blog and make it into a 10,000 word blog, although that would be a demonstration of depth. I think an easier way for us as fence contractors to do and make a big impact and get what we want is to depth into our local market. So instead of blogs, I'd focus on case studies. Every time you take photos, you should post a story about what you did and where. I'm not saying post the customer's address on there, but you can post the major cross streets, and you can also post the locality, the suburb that you're in. if you fill your blog with case studies, those are really clear signals to Google that, hey, these guys did 30 wood and vinyl fences in this little neighborhood. They're obviously a lot stronger than somebody else who just came in. It builds a whole moat around your location. So if you're not talking about and writing blogs, writing stories about the jobs you've actually done, centered around the photos that you've actually taken, I mean, you're leaving money on the table, and you might be leaving yourself vulnerable to lose any rankings that you should have in that market. The second thing is talking about conversions. One of the things I've noticed talking to a lot of fence contractors who worked with lot of marketing agencies is that one of the same old stories I always hear, which is, they told me all my metrics looks good, but my phones aren't ringing. And if my phones aren't ringing, I don't care about them. So there's a difference. There's a vanity metric in SEO for traffic. Like just like I showed you at the start of this video, HubSpot's traffic started to drop. This actually will, for them, this is a national site. This will result in a lack of calls. Local's a bit different. Not saying traffic's not important. It is, but it's more important that the traffic you get is local to where you are and it's a service that you offer. So traffic, I even talked to a company recently. They were getting a local fence company getting 4,000 visitors, unique visitors every single month, which is incredible, but their phone wasn't ringing. And the reason why is because their SEO agency had created blogs about all kinds of topics that were ranking nationally related to fences and how-tos and proper depths and material comparisons, but it wasn't tailored enough to the area. So customers that had a 6-page website were getting phone calls as opposed to them who had a 200 plus page website and way more traffic, but it wasn't generating calls. Because if you're based in Jersey and people in Wyoming are going to your site to learn about making fences in the winter, that's not going to get you many money. It's not going to make you any money at all. So if you're dealing with a marketing agency and they're saying your metrics looks good and your traffic looks good, hey, that's great. Good for them. They certainly know how to move that needle. But the needle for most of the people that I talk to in the fence industry is phone calls and money. And the way you get phone calls and money isn't always going to necessarily show in the reports. Because if you've got a tiny little town or you've got a tiny suburb and you make a page on your website and you post case studies like I mentioned for that suburb, just think about it. Let's say let's say 3 people call you in the course of 4 months from that little town. Those metrics are too small to be picked up by these tools, but those metrics are big enough for you to know, hey, I made 10 grand here, 8 grand here, and 15 grand here from this town, from one page. So if your website isn't targeting those specific locations, those telling stories about specific neighborhoods and the specifics in your town, then you may have the graph going up and to the right in tools like this, but it's not going to generate in your revenue tools, not going to generate in your QuickBooks graph going up and to the right. So keep your eye on that. Traffic is a vanity metric published by digital marketers. When it comes to local search, this is 100% true. If you're selling socks online from Alibaba, then maybe that's wrong. But for fence contractors, that is true. Traffic does not determine revenue. It is certainly a good indicator, but it is not. If you get 5,000 visitors a month, it doesn't mean that you are going to be making so much money a month. It's just not how it works. You need to target the towns, you need to target the neighborhoods, you need to even target the street names and the development names on your website with the projects you're doing or the projects that you want to have. So that's some advice from me on why this HubSpot thing is critical for local SEO and what are some things that anyone with any budget can apply directly to their website to start to make the phone call bang more. If you need help with anything, reach out to me. I'm here to help. And we have a booth at Fence Tech in Salt Lake City at the end of this month, February 2025. If you're going to be there, please swing by our booth. We'd love to meet you, and we hope this helps. Thanks a lot. Bye.